to warrant such statements. And you see, they take their luck too far sometimes. Maybe there's also read comments on the pages of paper and the commendation and this and that, and they don't know how to really handle such than to make vituperations and provocative and unnecessary, sometimes nauseating statements. You should have left the Labour Party, the Labour... No, that was a mistake anyway. You should have left the Labour Union, the NLC leadership alone. Yes, there could be political motives to their action, possibly. That is not really crystal clear. You could suspect that. Other Nigerians are suspecting that. Well, it's not right for you at this time to lash on that and make it so loud. It's unnecessary.
The president's comment, he said, you are not the only voice of Nigerians, and he was saying that to the NLC. Maybe the president would rather hear from the rest of Nigeria rather than just the leadership of organized labor. But then, hearing from the rest of Nigeria might not be as civil, peaceful, and organized as what the NLC has done. God forbid, we have another post-NSAS experience in this country. That is what it might mean to hear from the rest of Nigeria. Let's have this commercial break and we'll be right back.
Hello, property owners in Oyo State. Have you heard about OYPRS app? You need it. Hello, property owners in Oyo State. Have you heard about OYPRS app? You need it. Download OYPRS app right away. It simply means Oyo State Property Reference System. OYPRS app helps you to retrieve your property identification number on the go. This means you will be able to pay your land use charges and other property related bills seamlessly. Go to Play Store or Apple Store on your mobile device. Download and install OYPRS app. Sign up with your preferred email, phone number, and password. Please turn on your location for easy access. After that, log in with your email and password and follow the easy process. With this, you will be able to get your property details without any difficulty. It's a smart property identification service brought to you by Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Oyo State. For more information, log on to www.oyprs.ng or call 0700 696 52637.
We're back, and the program is still conversation.
And to Mr. President, that said NLC, not the only voice of Nigerians, maybe one of the channels for Nigerians to communicate, or they could be the mouthpiece or spokesperson of the Nigerian masses and the Ladina laborer. I don't want to call them laborers. That could sound derogatory. But in actual sense, are they not? What is their take home? How much are they getting as wages? Okay, but Nigerian workers, let's take up on Nigerian workers. So NLC is still our mouthpiece and one of the voices in Nigeria that could speak truth to power and organize protests, rallies, and industrial action in a very civil way, like the one they've done recently.
Or maybe Mr. President has heard some voices saying something contrary to what the NLC is saying, that there is really, that the stories of suffering out there is being exaggerated. Maybe there are some voices telling the president that, and maybe that's why he confidently said, NLC, you are not the only voice of Nigerians.
The president is just playing politics, and at least
I think so
trying
too.
to envisage speculatively now, putting all the known bottlenecks and booby traps or distractions to avert and the occurrence of such protests from the NLC or any other organized union, because those protests are capable, if they degenerate to something else, they are capable to cause unrest in this nation. You know how the Arab Spring started. Just the two protests. People on the street. It was also relatively peaceful then, before they started resisting. Armed men decided to make it a carnival-like. And you also recall how the NSAS protest started. So no government will be that comfortable to have such organized structures like that of the NLC coordinate protests on the street, or any other group coordinate protests of such magnitude that seems to be nationwide. The government will be jittery. So Mr. President appears to be jittery, and they just want to nip in the bud a reoccurrence of such protests. Either it is peaceful or not. I feel that they sense that another one could be disastrous to their government, and that's what he appears to be doing.
While Mr. President is saying this, the reversion for a ride, and he is addressing Nigerian leaders. They stop taking the nation for a ride. Shoyinka cautions leaders, says decentralization is central to incomplete mission of nation being. All these babas grammar. I'm trying to make. I'm trying to
make sense out of the grammar and the vocabulary.
Decentralization central to incomplete mission of nation being. Incomplete mission of
decentralization central to.
Well, I can understand what he means by decentralization, okay. But incomplete mission of nation being.
Marry the words together and try to decipher, or you can just save yourself the guesswork. Just go to the page and read the body.
The Baba would forgive me this morning. When I was in school, I hated these books because the grammar was often so thick that for you to make sense out of it, and his books were compulsory for my course way back in the university. But then, okay, let's have a look here.
I know decentralization is key to the kind of progress and development that Nigerians and Nigeria is yearning for. Yes, that we are desperately in need of. The centralization of everything, the unitary form that we appear to be practicing, everything to the center and Abuja. And they have many things under their purview at the federal government. And the bulk of the revenue and even the spending goes to them. That's not the way to run a federal nation or federation. No. So I want to believe that you have to marry that decentralization that you mentioned to the completeness of a nation. That is the understanding I give to it and the interpretation I would like to give to it.
Well, from what I've read here, from the body of the story, is simply talking about restructuring, such as would decentralize, like you said, and would give a sense of complete belonging to each of the ethnic nationalities. So what he's trying to say is that what we have now is a state of incomplete nation being, that we are not a true federation.
Tola, let's just save our audience the guesswork. According to the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, he said in his words now, and I quote, "It's about time leaders stop taking us for a ride so that the government can come close to the people. We don't want the nation to break. The nation is breaking informally. Let nation die so that humanity may live. Let nations die so that humanity may live." I don't like to use the word restructuring. Politicians understand the terms when they are not in office, but turn to something else when they assume office. It is the time. It is the same thing with reconstruction, and it is time to look into it because it is not a slogan. According to the Nobel laureate, decentralization of the federal government power is the best way to maximize development in Nigeria. He said Nigerian leaders recognizes the importance of decentralization until they get into power and abandon it. He added that palliatives are temporary stopgap policies that do not reach the heart of the problem, noting that only decentralization can help. Only decentralization can help. He said decentralization will bring power closer to the people, noting that productivity can really be manifested as a product of citizens, not simply as a manna from heaven.
Well, Seun, where is humanity without nationhood? Restructuring, which he has chosen to define as decentralization, would still mean that we would involve maybe into smaller nations or smaller groups of nations. I'm talking about nationhood. It's here that nationhood has not worked because perhaps we have not done the ideal, or perhaps the terms and conditions of our present staying together are there, well spelled out, but we have not abided by those terms and conditions. I always say it's shown that the problem is us, not the 1999 Constitution. I still insist. It's about us, and it's about us not willing, not being willing to implement the terms and conditions of that Constitution.
I think largely about us, the problems now, and partially still about the Constitution that we run in this country. The 1999 Constitution, as amended, it still has some gray areas that requires amendment, or we just go back to the drawing board and give ourselves a befitting constitution. But it's not that bad. If we could implement 80% of what we have in the 1999 Constitution as amended, Nigeria will be better for it. Maybe the El Dorado of all nations, of all highs. But failure to implement, I don't know if we have implemented up to 40% of what is even in the Constitution as we speak. Well, I haven't read through the explanation that the professor gave. Proper understanding comes now. But again, the professor will still have some explanation or clarifications to make. What he is referring to here, let nations die so that humanity may live. I don't seem to understand this. Let nations die. One could only insinuate or guess what the professor is trying to say.
Well, I think it means where the ideals of true nationhood are not in place. Also, he's saying that such arrangement should be jettisoned for the evolution of something more appropriate. It will still be in the form of new nations evolving.
New nations evolving out of.
Well, the USSR, for instance.
That was the balkanization of the USSR.
Well, a nation died so that humanity may live.
So are you talking about decentralization that will give birth to new independent countries out of Nigeria?
That's for the professor to answer.
That's why I'm saying, one could just only insinuate or speculate. That's why the professor must give more explanation. To some of us and to the politicians and those in power, the unity, togetherness of this country remains sacrosanct. It's a no-go area for anybody to discuss. You don't discuss the balkanization or the independence of regions or people of this nation. Our marriage is till whatever does path.
Well, it said decentralization, so I guess it means a loose federation. It's not talking about the abolition or the death of Nigeria.
At a loose federation, a weakened center, and the federation units more powerful, and having certain autonomy to live their life and develop at their own pace. Maybe that's good, but let's wait and see if the current establishment will like such arrangement. They prefer the status quo somehow. But we are seeing piecemeal decentralization and piecemeal restructuring of things or the structure in this country already. Well, what is required should be done. without political sentiment, regional affiliations, and other primordial, considerations. Let's have a nation where the people, irrespective of where they come from, will all be proud of. Yes, a nation that works.
Moving on now, Atiku wants the entire power sector open for private investment, and I guess he's going to be the chief investor.
Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Your Excellency. Well, I want to understand that the reasons for this advocacy of yours about privatization, this, privatization, that, unbundling of this and that, the government having no business in business. Well, you've been there before, and you've also tasted how things work. Okay. You proposed privatization of the NNPC. Okay. Privatization of the electricity sector. Everything privatized. I didn't mean those privatizations, even the ones in the past, even when he was in charge, were handled with genuineness of the heart and good intentions, in a way to make those companies or establishments or institutions work better. That could have been applauded. But we've seen the shenanigan, the corruption, the arrangements, and now their cronies and allies were the ones who eventually got those companies and institutions that used to belong to the federal government at a giveaway price. It's just calling your boys. And due process were not followed, or the processes were influenced or hijacked by some powerful Nigerians or guys at the top. So we are not too comfortable with privatization. Even in standard climes, in the developed countries, government for certain reasons, just to break monopoly, to regulate prices, and for other considerations, they are still in business. But here in Nigeria, you make it look as if it's an aberration.
Said happened, and by now we're having uninterrupted power supply. It would have been really nice, but then I don't know if I'm just being naive with this here, but it appears like each time we talk about privatization and our own people are the investors, it doesn't seem to work. But when you bring in the Oyinbos, the Chinese, to privatize or to buy up certain sectors, well, maybe because most of the time they come with their own infrastructure, things tend to work. So I don't know. That's why I said maybe Alhaji Atiku Abubakar wants to be the chief investor this time around.
In the Yoruba balance and in our setup, in Yoruba settings, if you have a family and you have children that inherited certain things from their parents, properties, landed properties, and that child or the children decided to sell off those properties, and there is a way they address those children. There is a tag, an unprintable slang that they use for them. Akotileta. If your forebears, your parents, they didn't work hard for you to inherit this, what will you inherit? What will do with them to inherit anything? It's not good. You build on what you have. You expand the costs. You make them more productive and effective and efficient in the service delivery. That is what is expected of you. If you have been well groomed and trained by the parents before they gave you that property to inherit, you build on it, you expand it, you add more. Well, the reverse is the case in Nigeria. Whatever we get from our forebears, we sell off, we dismantle, in the name of them not working well. And it's only the government-owned companies and establishment that doesn't work well in Nigeria. Anything that government has its hand in terms of investment, will never work. That is the mantra, that is the slogan, that is the phrase they make us to understand and believe. that it can never work. Although elsewhere it's working, and it can also work in Nigeria. Don't privatize everything. There is PPP, public-private partnership arrangement. You can do that, but selling off everything. The electricity sector, they sold this, they sold that before now. They were the ones even subsidizing. They were the ones giving funds to those investors. Look at the metering now. They are still the ones helping those who have bought the discos and all of them, the stakeholders. The government is still helping them. Whereas when they came to buy, they told us all manner of stories and that they were coming with huge money to invest and change the narrative for good. That they will provide the electricity for us 24/7, 24 hours a day. It's still a dream in the pipeline or a mirage till now. How many years after? So they should save us this cry over privatization.
Our federal government printed too much money. That's coming from the governor of Abia State. Well, I hope he's not talking too much. Laments free fall of Naira. Abia State governor.
Abia. Well, we should not treat it with levity. We should not discard his claims completely. Maybe he can substantiate on that. Recall that the Edo State governor, Godwin Obaseki, raised something similar during the Buhari administration. And he was discredited. We were told he was lying until later on the truth prevailed. Came to the open. And we are still battling with that now. Aggrieved
residents block Abuja-Kaduna highway over bandits attacks. Now that's another voice calling out to Mr. President now.
We hope that he listens to the voices.
Yoruba traditional rulers, Gani Adams, orders Old Security Summit to tackle, what you have always advocated, Seun, to tackle criminals with natural powers. Interesting. So those natural powers will probably know the name that the AK-47 bears, the name that the RPG bears, the name that the IED, improvised explosive device, bears.
Yes.
So
there's a possibility of that. And they don't misfire. They go to the person or the suspect or the person who had committed atrocities directly without collateral damage.
So did they need to hold a security summit before, if indeed these things, the efficacy of these things have been proven? Did they need to hold a security summit before deploying these powers? So many people have died that could have been saved with these powers they are talking about.
The powers you are talking about, relatively, or as things appears, unknown to law, unknown to the Constitution, unknown to established laws and regulations in Nigeria. It's that's not a yardstick or requirement for you to be recruited into Amotekun. So, to incorporate that or to make it something functional and something palatable, admissible to the forces, security forces I mean, you must have to go through some legislation or by executive fiat, so that when they use the otomoko or the traditional science to make happen certain things and they are being challenged, they will have a sort of legal defense for that.
The otomoko you spoke about, quite many people were disappointed when the Amotekun, when they had encounters with violent criminals and bullets were penetrating their bodies. But then someone offered an explanation that maybe that Shibia, I know the youths of nowadays, that the do's and don'ts of that Otumokpo, they are very much certain to violate them.
Okay.
Some of the Otumokpo will demand that you should be of a certain level of good behavior. And so by the time you violate those terms and conditions, of course, when you are shot at, it could be fatal.
Well, but some are already advocating or proposing the use of this traditional science in our daily life, even in government. Before you are sworn in, let's bring the Ogun and the Amadioha and others, because those ones, they won't joke with you. They are not that lenient. If you do anyhow, you see anyhow, and they hit their target. You know, they misfire, and there is no excuse, there is no appeal. If you like, beg, they won't listen. If you steal, this will happen. If it's established and you dare steal from the common purse of the people, untimely death or calamities will come your way, and you could be struck to death. There is a possibility of that. So some are saying, if that is the way to go, at least to curb certain excesses, corruption, and violation of the laws, let's inject that into our governance law and process. I must not steal, I must not lie, I must not do this. And we have a safe society. You can even use that to develop ammunition and sophisticated weapons. I was told how ordinary, what do you call it, egg, the local one, was used as IED in some places. You just put some incantation. The incantation can even be written. It will not be a description for use. When you get the atomic bomb and other weapons from the Oyinbos, they will tell you, phosphate so, add them with so. You too, put the incantation as a description. So far it's effective and it works.
I'm sure you know some of those, the natural phosphate so and so.
In fact, a professor in this Ibadan has been at the forefront advocating the injection of traditional whatever into our governance process. A professor.
Professor Olugun.
He said, if that is the right way to go, let's imbibe it, let's add it. You are fighting Boko Haram, you are fighting this, fighting that. Let's use it wherever they are. The native science was used in parts of Ondo State. The marauding herdsmen and their whatever cattle that went astray, trespassed. They made their water low, thunderstruck.
And that can be explained though, scientifically.
Okay.
Thunderstruck and the cattle, they just happen to be in the line.
They there. So if it's effective and it corrects certain anomalies, why not use them? You can. Amotekun should. Those who are desirous of positive changes should. So far it's not injurious to the well-meaning Nigerians and the patriotic ones. Why not if not? I'm in support.
All right, we'll have a commercial break and we'll be back.
One man with the power to thwart death must face the consequence of his actions, because even power comes at a cost.
Oyo has been beset by the Akala bird.
Sao, you owe a debt. You must return to undo your actions.
Now, he must rely on unlikely allies
You have 3 years.
and face new enemies.
Saru must be found. I'm back. Watch Anikulapo Rise of the Spectre. Now streaming on Netflix with plans starting from 1,600 Naira only. Conversation.
All right, we're back and the program is still Conversation. Abbas, Speaker of the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, sets up 23-member committee on Orosai report. Allied killed 7 women through dating app, says suspect. And customs intercept 53 sacks of fake pharmaceutical drugs worth 1.739 billion naira in Oyo, Osun Command. That's as Makinde meets agri stakeholders, declares measures to address rising food prices in Oyo, suspends revenue collection on agri produce. Okay, we spoke about that yesterday. And reps all concession programs in federal agencies probe CBN discourse over multi-million naira national mass metering program. I have more headlines here.
Yes. Tinubu to NLC. It's unacceptable to judge me in 9 months. Tells Labour to join politics in 2027. Vows to fight corruption. It's unacceptable to judge me in 9 months. Are they already judging him completely?
Not acceptable, but or not fair. What do you?
But it may not be acceptable to him, but I think it's imperative that the NLC lets you know the situation of things, the led what hardship, and through them you could feel the pulse of the society.
Well, like I always say, the same thing is predecessor said, until it's 8 years we are done, and here we are.
Well,
so you shouldn't blame Nigerians for being impatient.
The universe will say, ọjọ́ Tuesday tó bá máa dá, láti mọ̀ láti Sunday or even Saturday or Monday, preceding, and the day before that eventful day. So, first impression, some say, lasts longer. Okay. They promised to hit the ground running when he came on board as a president. So don't judge me in so much, don't do this, don't that, don't comment. So some Nigerians are just mere excuses, passing the buck, and not taking full responsibility for happenings in the country. Confusion over NIN BVN link to bank accounts. CBN mom over deadline as customers lament network failure. Nigeria imports $4 billion worth of steel annually, says minister. Ownership. Government should stop taking us for a ride, Shoyinka. Attack on policemen in Delta, 15 missing, another body recovered. MPC's decision to raise MPL, CIR will further worsen economic woes, says Obi. Onedoguba, Ao Ochi. Labour Party NWC reconciled aggrieved aspirants with Akpata. Nigeria's economy on track, says American city mayor. Okay. And this is saying federal government sets to tap into $350 billion global outsource market as VP Shatima launches initiative in Gombe on Monday. Clark hails Gowon for getting ECOWAS leaders to lift sanction on herring members. And let's just open the phone line. Yes, let's open the phone line now. 0805 500 9850. 0805 500 9850. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Seun.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, Tola.
Good morning, Baba.
May the peace of the Lord be with both of you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I do that do from Okeo.
Good to have you, sir.
Let me quickly say this, that Governor Seun Makinde started positive and praiseworthy performance the very first day of the inauguration of his administration. So, I think the labor leaders and the Nigerians, they are justified to be observing and to be making their observations known, no matter the age or the duration of a government in power. So, constitutional amendment needed, implementation is key, decentralization is important, moral rebirth is paramount. In fact, it towers above all. If morality, humanity, and integrity are embraced and practiced, all shall be well with us in this country. But the present situations, for instance, autonomy is not given to the local government. Local government is pocketed by different state governors. state governors are chief security officers of their given states on paper and in mouth, not in reality. And they don't control the army and the police, etc. So all these things put together will give us a good nation. Thank you, Adedan from Okel.
Thank you. We appreciate. 0805 500 9850. Senate affirms Kogi as oil producing state. And consequently, the state is now to receive 13% derivation as stipulated by Section 162, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
This is Gospel from Ilefe.
Good to have you, sir.
For Tinubu to say we shouldn't judge him after 9 months, what is he doing there? NLC, we're meant to judge his governance. And if he's not competent, it's better he should go back home. And secondly, the idea of using Otumokbo, those cabals in politics, they themselves are the oracles. So if they don't work on an ordinary man, it may not work for them because they are oracles. Thirdly,
all right, thank you.
Thank you. 0805 500 9850. 0805 500 9850. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Bayo Ati from Shaki.
Good to have you, sir.
I want to talk briefly on the loss of our identity in Africa, in Nigeria in particular. That you see, the way we absorb the foreign religions has made us to lose all our identities totally. And when we are talking about corruption and the way we run government, we realize that because we've abandoned all our culture and tradition, then we see that anybody can do anything when they are in government or in administration. They can do and undo whatever they like. But if, as you put it, if we can make it compulsory that if you want to take part in government or in governance, you must obey these laws of tradition and culture. We see that normalcy will be restored in the way we do things in Nigeria. Like make them to swear by Ogun, by Sango, by Oya, and anything that is traditional. They will be able to obey our laws and regulations, and things will be normal. Because if you happen to steal anything from the community, you face the wrath of the community, like the gods and the goddesses. So we should try as much as possible to study and put it right to people that this thing belongs to the community. And if you steal from it, apart from what you deserve to be given as your salary, then you face the wrath of the gods. So that's my own opinion about how we can curb corruption and theft in the public service. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
0805 500 9850. 0805 500 9850.
when Mackenzie became governor, under 6 months, you can see the good fish. These are like go to 1 year. And they tell us, you don't judge him. That means you're not serious. They have nothing to offer. You better go home. Labor is our voice. If they like, when they create phone line, share phone line, you will still work for them. Telling him that the government is not good. He promised to create corruption. Corruption is going on. They are deceivers. They have nothing to offer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ngwele.
0805 500 9850. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Seun. Good morning, Mr. Tola. I'm Chidi. I'm calling from Calabar. Now, let me start with Abia State. I begin to have my interest in Abia State for what they've done with this back. One thing is, let me give them till this year runs out. I want to see how fair they will do. But if they do very well, then that will be the Alexis will be the best governor since 1999. Then on the Mr. President saying we should not criticize him, but he criticized the administration even 2-3 months before after their inauguration. So when people don't want people to criticize them, you do what will not make people to criticize you. That's just it. So thank you.
Thank you.
State police, traditional means ways out of insecurity in the southwest. Yoruba monarchs say herdsmen responsible for food insecurity. State police and traditional means. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, this is about today from Okata.
Good to have you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Tola, Mr. Seun. My own comment is this about this situation of Nigeria. Hope you are listening.
Yes.
Okay. The Nigerian leaders, they are the lovers of power. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. Hello, sir.
Yes, we are all ears.
We are with you.
Okay, sir. And if you want to have a way forward, we need to change the approach to the governance. I don't know where we have the state governors and the allocation coming to the local government is pocketed in their purses. What's the sense of having 6 governors and they are not discharging their function to the local government? We have about 774 local government chairmen and they are not giving them the autonomy. The other time, I think during the Jonathan administration, that was they called for autonomy of the local government. It was the state assembly, together with the state governors, that came the bill. So it's better we go back to the normal structure. Let the state governors, their structure, let it be what? Let it be raised. And let us have direct allocation with the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the local government. It will be better. And don't forget, we've practiced this before during the regionalism, where we have 3 regions, East, West, and the North. And the performance is already there. Very effective. So, Nigerian leaders, the present one, they are lovers of power, and that is why they misuse it. When the president said the NNC is not the only forces of Nigeria. So, who are the forces of Nigeria? It's not the NNPC, or the NNC. What are we talking about? We are the opposition party. The opposition party in the first instance before we had the election ought to have come together and rescue power. But they failed us.
Well, thank you. We have limited time. We just have to go.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Seun.
We appreciate
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. And Tola on trade. Rise, lead Africa. Ghana tells Nigeria. And for Mr. President that says it's too early for him to be judged within our months. It may be too early to give a verdict or absolute or complete judgment, but it's not too early to evaluate your activities and action. Mr. President, time is running fast. Ṣèyí tó ṣe, Mr. President, ọjọ́ ń lọ. Èyí tẹ́ ẹ bá ṣe láàárọ̀ yìí. Do the good things for Nigeria to have a good future. We have to go.
We have to go, and we'll be back same time tomorrow morning, God willing. My name is Tola Teriba.
I remain yours faithfully, Seun Oyelowo. Spotted Beat is next. Boluwaji Ogunmola is our guide this morning. Interesting sport headlines, stories we've got today. Boluwaji, good morning.
Morning, Boluwaji.
It's a lovely Friday morning. Quite a lot to talk about. As you can see on the papers in front of you, Pesero gives the NFF conditions to continue as Super Eagles coach. That one of the teams looking to sign him already signed someone else. So, although he has 7 offers on ground, or Algeria, we're hoping he will move to Algeria, but it appears the Algerians have better plans at this moment. Yesterday, I was with the NFF head of communication, and he said that the board are actually doing the right things to ensure that he remains in charge of the Super Eagles. Well, only time will tell. Only time will tell. But as we speak, he's out of contract with the Super Eagles.
His chances are becoming slimmer. He doesn't have much of option, so he should beg us
Well,
if it's required.
He still has options. He has only lost to 1 out of 7. So, I mean, the options are there. And what do you expect from an AFCON finalist? The options will keep coming. And I honestly, I think he still has some fans amongst authorities, the ministry, and the NFF. So they are the ones who will judge. My opinion, your opinion, doesn't count.
Oh, unfortunately so. Spot Tidbit next with Oluwaji Ogumola.
It's another beautiful Friday morning right here in the city of Ibadan. Time check at 7:32 a.m. and it's sport time right here on Oluyole 98.5 FM. The Trailblazer, the pride of the nation. Of course, you know, the best in the West. Oluwaji Ogumola is there once again with all the news that you can use in a beautiful and ever exciting world of sport. Bring you the latest, the hottest, and the juiciest sport news this lovely Friday morning. On the show today, we'll kickstart from Lagos, where the Nigerian Pitch Awards, of course, a press conference was held. Nominees for the awards for 2023 were actually announced yesterday, and trust us, PCS was well represented. And of course, on the show today, we'll come to Ibadan as well and talk about the draws for the Oyo State Football Association